The Forgotten Path. Chapter 1. The Forgotten Path. I stepped onto the weathered porch, feeling as though I had traveled back in time to a place where laughter and happiness once filled every corner of this home. The creaking of the old wooden boards beneath my feet echoed with each tentative step, much like my heart's rhythm, hesitant and uncertain. 20 years had passed since I left these walls, but memories still lingered in every crevice, painting vivid pictures that time couldn't erase. My return was not by choice. Grief had led me here after the tragic loss of my mother. In this sanctuary of nostalgia, I hoped to find solace from the anguish clawing at my soul like a restless beast. The oak tree with carved initials still towered over the garden. Emma and Mom 1995, a poignant reminder of simpler days. I couldn't help but think it was watching me, silently judging my decision. After settling into the familiar bedroom, I took to the woods behind our house, seeking solace in the familiarity of their embrace. The autumn leaves crunched beneath my boots, rustling like whispers carrying secrets from another era. Their earthy scent filled the air as I walked along a trail that seemed untouched by time, yet somehow altered since childhood. The path ahead grew narrower, forcing me to duck low and weave through gnarled branches. Shadows danced in corners where moonlight dared not reach. In their place stood an eerie silence, punctuated only by the occasional hooting of an owl or rustling leaves. My breath quickened. A mix of fear and dread mingled with each step. It wasn't merely nostalgia that drove me back here. It was the hope to recapture a sense of peace. The path veered sharply right, leading deeper into the thicket, as though trying to conceal what lay ahead. I hesitated, memories long buried resurfacing. Whispers of an old legend my brother Michael would often speak of with wide eyes and hushed tones. The Forgotten Path. A trail rumored hidden for decades, said to lead nowhere, but home to something sinister. Shadows flickered in the corner of my vision. Leaves swayed unnaturally, or so it seemed. The wind carried an unmistakable whisper on its breeze. A name I hadn't heard since childhood. Emma. My heart skipped a beat as icy fingers traced down my spine. The wind died, leaving only silence and my racing pulse for company. I recalled Michael's warnings. Don't stray too far in. But curiosity propelled me forward into the embracing darkness of the forest. Deeper within, an unnatural stillness hung over the clearing like a pallid mist. I spun around. Nothing was out here but trees. My gaze fell upon a weathered wooden sign, half buried by leaves. The Forgotten Path. Its faded paint bore the words, "Welcome home," in looping letters that seemed to reach out, beckoning me closer. Unsettling curiosity piqued my resolve, urging me onward. As I stepped onto the hidden path, a twig snapped behind me. My breath caught as the sound echoed through the woods, reverberating strangely and fading into nothingness. It was then that the whispers began. The soft murmurs of Emma carried on the wind once more. I quickened my pace until I reached a clearing encircled by towering pines. In the center stood an old oak tree, its trunk marred with dark crimson symbols. A chill seeped into my bones as I recognized them. The same marks Michael had sketched in his journal before vanishing during that fateful camping trip. He was never found, and I never stopped wondering what befell him. Unnerved, but driven by a morbid curiosity, I approached the tree cautiously. The symbols pulsed with an ethereal glow under the moonlight, strange yet unsettlingly familiar. A shiver coursed down my spine as I noticed something new, a door carved into the trunk's base. It was small and looked like it hadn't been opened in years. In a sudden, inexplicable urge, I reached out to touch its rusty handle. The hinges creaked with an eerie scrape as I pushed the door inward. Inside lay a space that reeked of decay. Flickering candles cast unsettling shadows on the walls. Unearthly trinkets adorned the wooden shelves. Seashells, keys, and other curious objects that sparked fragmented memories long buried. A small wooden box rested at the far end, its latch broken open, revealing a faded photograph. My breath caught when I recognized it. My brother's face staring back from years past. The image sent a chill through me. His eyes held an expression of horror. Beneath him, another name was scrawled. Caleb. As I left the strange room, the door creaked shut behind me. In that moment, reality began to unravel, and my mind's edge teetered with suspicion. I emerged into the moonlit clearing, questioning everything. The woods now seemed treacherous, watching as if they held secrets too terrible to share. Shadows moved among the trees. As I turned to leave, a figure stood atop the hillside, a silhouette backlit by the ghostly glow of my childhood home's windows. A shiver coursed through me. Michael? But the features were wrong. It was him, yet not him. Caleb's eyes bore into mine with an unmistakable malice before disappearing behind the trees. I sprinted toward our house, heart thundering in my chest. The door slammed shut behind me as I entered, but when I turned to look through the window, he stood there still, staring. My trembling hands pressed against the glass as his face elongated into a twisted grin and vanished into darkness. A cold sweat broke out across my skin, forcing me back from the glass. Behind me, something creaked within the walls, an unsettling groan that reverberated like a sigh. I had to know what this path held. In the kitchen, I rummaged through old trunks and journals, hoping for answers in dusty relics of our past. A faded newspaper clipping caught my eye. Local boy missing. It was Michael's story now. A tragic accident or an abduction. The line between reality and memory began blurring as I delved deeper into the mystery. Flickering candles cast flickering shadows across the walls, casting an unsettling glow on the relics that surrounded me. My mind swirled with thoughts of forgotten tales and long that suppressed fears. With every discovery, this house, once a sanctuary, felt increasingly menacing. The wind carried me again, now accompanied by a haunting laugh, a sound both familiar and forlorn. In that moment, I realized the forest had awakened from its slumber, and with it, my deepest fears. Little did I know, Caleb, an enigma of our childhood, was about to join them. Chapter 2. Whispers in the Dark. Dawn broke over the house, casting a pale glow upon the eerie scene within. I sought answers in the attic, hoping for clarity amidst this chaos. The musty air clung to my clothes as I sifted through trunks and dusty journals. Michael's final entry spoke of an abandoned mine on the outskirts of town, a place he wanted to explore with me before his disappearance. A small key caught my eye. Perhaps it was the key to unraveling this enigma. Before departing, I tucked it into my pocket, the metal cool against my thigh. Strands of hair tickled my neck as an unseen force brushed past me, making me spin. My reflection in a mirror held a stark difference. Shadows danced across my face like dark wisps. Shadows moved, twisting from ghostly tendrils to something else. Something that resembled eyes. In this house's heart, Caleb had left his mark. Caleb, the enigma of our youth, was back. His presence seeped into every room as though a living entity. I fled to the kitchen, slamming doors in an effort to drown out the unseen whispers. The sound of scraping and scuttling grew louder with each door I closed behind me until it stopped, the haunting laughter fading like an echo from another life. In the stillness, I recognized that voice, or what was left of him. Caleb's return had awakened something ancient in these woods. Shadows crept around my bedroom door before pulling open to reveal eyes that glowed with malice under moonlight. A chill consumed me as he stepped into view, his form warped and twisted like an apparition. "I've been waiting," I managed a hoarse reply. His presence enveloped the room, pressing upon me until I couldn't breathe. Then Caleb vanished, only to reappear in the corner of my bed. It was as if time itself had forgotten him. "I want answers," I demanded, refusing to back away from his form. Caleb spoke with a cadaverous voice. "You're mine now." The room spun and I fell onto the bed. Caleb's eyes bore into me until darkness engulfed us both. In my dreams, he dragged me by the arm toward an unseen destination, into the heart of this strange place, back to that night when Michael vanished. Morning light forced me awake with his hand clamped over my mouth, stifling any cry. His skin felt papery and cold. The mine was our destination, biting down hard on his bony fingers. I broke free as we tumbled into a blackness I'd never seen before. The abandoned mines deep within those woods. Air grew thick as I stumbled upon old equipment and tunnels stretching into the bowels of darkness. Caleb dragged me deeper, drawing blood from my arm with each lurching step downward. Deeper in the mine, skeletal remains lined walls. Human bones that weren't human. Something had torn them apart. In a macabre dance, we moved closer to the heart of darkness. My blood smeared his face as I struggled against him. Unseen hands pulled us into the bowels of an ancient cavern, a tomb where something ancient slumbered. The air grew colder with each step. A putrid stench overwhelmed me. In that dank space, Caleb's form blurred, and I found myself face to face with what could only be described as hell. Black eyes held my gaze, their malice burning brighter than the embers of 1,000 fires. Shadows moved like living tendrils in darkness before settling into a figure. Twisted and gnarled, almost human, but not quite. Caleb's form melted away, revealing something ancient beneath. Inhuman hands grasped me. The thing's eyes burned with an age that old malice as I was dragged toward its gaping maw. A howl from the creature echoed through caverns, drawing forth a blood-curdling scream that shook my core. It spat Caleb's name, and in a moment of blinding light, I was there, chained to the wall. The thing leaned in close with eyes alight. It spoke. "Welcome home." A voice whispered secrets in my ear, the tale of our town's dark history, of an ancient evil hidden deep beneath our feet. Caleb had made a pact for power, binding himself and the creature in this place. I was now chained to that destiny. The darkness held a malevolence that spread like an unseen cancer, threatening to consume everything. Shadows moved, twisting into figures. They were coming, drawn by the scent of my blood. Chapter 3. The Haunting Echoes. The mine had consumed me, and with it, Caleb's formlessness merged with the creature's visage, a grotesque amalgamation of us both. In this new reality, I found myself chained in an old, abandoned mine beneath our house. Shadows moved like sentinels as the creature devoured my brother whole. No light breached these depths, only my own screams. Caleb was gone, and now I was his offering, a soul bound to an unholy pact. The thing spoke of our town's dark past, blood rituals in the name of power, ancient beings from a realm outside our own. As night gave way to dawn, it began to feast upon me, skin and soul. A key still clutched in my pocket felt heavy as I struggled against chains. As the creature fed, whispers spoke of old rituals in this place where ancient beings slumbered beneath the earth. Bloodthirsty entities that needed a willing host. My mind reeled. It claimed us all in those days long past. Town legends Caleb had dared speak of. A door opened from within my soul as it devoured me, offering an escape. I fled into shadows and darkness to find light, to save my brother if not myself. Chains gave way beneath a bloodied hand. Mine now. The creature had fed until all that remained was the key, and with a scream, I found a way back through hidden tunnels, leaving behind what it had made of Caleb's soulless form. Shadows coalesced into figures that scuttled upward, an unseen force pulling me toward the mines above. From the bottom of my being came light, pure light. Inhuman hands were cast aside as I scrambled to the surface, and then through my room. On my bed, a man crouched atop me in sheets stained crimson. We ran into the day, leaving behind what was once home. He spoke, "You're mine now." The sun had chased us outside. Light repelled this darkness, but I couldn't shake it from my dreams. In a hidden chamber beneath our house lay an ancient tome bound in human skin and bone. The blood that stained me became his as he devoured his brother's remains. Our pact had to end. I broke free of the creature with nothing but darkness lingering. It was drawn to light, yet even now its malice remained Caleb's form. A key was a soul, and the tome held the secrets of this unholy pact between man and ancient things. In dreams, it found me again, my blood calling like bait on a hook. In the mine, in the hidden chamber beneath, I opened a book bound in human skin and bone. The creature spoke. We made this pact. He hissed before vanishing into darkness as if consumed by rage and hate, the thing Caleb had become. I escaped, leaving behind what was once home, but the nightmare of those shadows clung to my form like an unseen weight. My blood called out in my dreams, a beacon for that abomination. A key forged from flesh and bone was taken. I found him. He spoke of the book, bound to this unholy pact as it began to consume him fully. Caleb had never been free. In dreams, Caleb's form became more human, that like each night, his voice my own, but with an age that defied time, an old soul. We ran from what was once home, and though I'd escaped the creature, we both knew its presence lingered beneath. That darkness followed us, as if it had always been there, inside me. In dreams, the creature appeared in the flesh of Caleb's form with a book bound in human skin and bone. He spoke his name. "You're mine now." I was torn between fleeing, hiding, or ending this once and for all. He spoke again. We made this pact. I'd never be free from that night. Darkness followed me. Caleb stood before me at the top of the mines. Our pact was sealed in blood, but it had changed him. Our escape to the surface only offered a reprieve. The creature's rage and hate were now inside me, and I knew the horror that bound us. A part of Caleb's soul now roamed free, his spirit tethered to my own. In dreams, we fled for miles under the light of a blood moon, shadows trailing behind as if drawn by an unseen force, the pact sealed in blood and bones. One we made long before birth. The abomination had come. The creature was not gone, but within me now, waiting patiently. I couldn't escape it. I'd never be free from that fateful night when Caleb fell to his fate below our house's foundation. We fled the mine as shadows in darkness, and though I escaped that place, they followed us like specters in the blood moonlight into my dreams. It was inside me now. In the dream realm, it spoke. We made this pact. I'd never be free from that fateful night. This creature became me with every passing day. Caleb's form returned as we reached town limits in full light of the blood moon. I found a woman who took me in, and then I was alone again. The shadow people were here, and though I fled, it followed still, waiting patiently to claim its own.